How's it, babe?
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mudlia.
Mrs. Mudlia in the house. So we're finally doing this.
We are.
What is this? What are we doing?
It's a breakdown, I think, of life.
Okay. I know you wanted to write a book. Like you had
I
some things you wanted to talk about. So yeah, well,
But I think you're right. I think we have to. This is just, I think let's just start. And then it's a good thing to kind of jot down what we're going to discuss, because there's nothing worse than having to hear people waffle on. And I think that's why I want to do this podcast as well,
because you want to waffle on.
No, I don't. I hate waffling. I'm a factual, I just want to talk about stuff, but I don't want sometimes people go off topic.
Okay, well, I think the podcast kind of thing makes you stay on topic. I mean, why would anyone want to make a podcast, and why would anyone want to listen to it? I guess it's just like a conversation between two people that somebody else is listening in on. So what would our podcast be about? Like two people, like a guy and a girl that met when they were 15, and how did we get here? Or is it about us as husband and wife? Is it about us as parents? Is it about all of those things?
I think what interests people, I mean, our life, how interesting is it? I don't know. But I think what's so helpful is to discuss family life, kids. It's tough out there. It's tough, and especially in today's world, it's tough raising a family. And the whole thing about having our kids having values, and do they actually have values nowadays? Or as parents, do we just give as much as we just keep giving to our kids? Every time they ask, we give, instead of saying that very special word. It's called NO. And that word is not used enough.
I mean, obviously you're talking about like in very recent history, like a current theme, but
no, I'm talking about just generally as well. Just generally in life, I think sometimes we just feel, we all brought up in different times and different eras, and I think we always say, oh, we're not going to be like our parents, and we're going to parent differently. But sometimes, you've got to keep the basics. You can't let those go, because then the world will be we'll have all these entitled children running around.
So when you said you wanted to do the podcast, I still had to get my head around it in terms of like who would want to listen to anything we have to say. And we've got our Instagram account, which is a bit of fun, like the moving moods, like our whole journey of minimalism and all of that. But I think that the danger with that, and the danger with social media is that it's just one aspect, and people interpret things as they are, not as things are themselves. It's like what people think, oh, you're having this amazing life, and we've never tried to say like, wow, our life is so amazing. I think the podcast actually makes it's a lot more intimate, and you can actually say what's on your mind, right?
Yeah, but I think also with our Instagram account, it is, there's nothing colored or glossed over. That is our real life, and nothing has, we haven't enhanced and done all these things that people do, to look completely not the person that they actually are. So in reality, we are giving out our real life.
Yeah, but I think it's not the medium where you can talk about what's really well, it won't come across there. So I mean, you want to do the podcast too. As I understand what you were saying, is that you just want to articulate what's going on in your life because you're saying everyone's going through the same stuff, and maybe it'll be useful to just listen to these conversations.
No, absolutely. Even going from having a baby, I mean, there are so many books out there, but I mean, I can obviously tell my version as well, but just to put women, to reassure them as well that, you're not going through things alone, because there are other people out there that are going through the same problems and same issues, and it's good just to find your tribe as well, so that you can get together and bitch and moan and do whatever and have a glass of wine and know that you're together and you just solving this as you go along. But at least you've got that support behind you, which is important, because you can't do it alone. Definitely not. It's not doable.
But you don't actually do that. I mean, I don't see you going out and...
When the kids were young, of course. I
Oh, when
remember.
they were young, but you don't do
Yeah.
it anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose I don't. No, because it's a different phase at this stage. I think when you're a young mom, you tend to do that. You join the groups, the mom and tot groups, and you join certain groups. When you have teenagers, well, it's
So-
so,
so
called
let's
a wine group. That happens on a Friday night.
Okay, so let's quickly talk about those phases, right?
Yeah.
Because our kids are going through the phases that we went through. So we met at 15,
Yeah.
and like we don't want to bore everyone with that story, or do we?
Let's not bore them.
Okay, so then we met again at 21,
Yeah.
which is the time, and I think that's an interesting one because we've got a
Mm.
16-year-old daughter and
Yeah.
we've got a 21-year-old son,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of interesting to make sense of their lives right now, which is in a totally different time
Sure.
to what we were like back then. And I think quite often you get into this parenting mode and you forget what it was like to be young, to be at that age. What were you like at 16?
I was the perfect child. I did no wrong.
I mean, so just for anyone, obviously there's no visuals. Sophia's sitting right here, and
Yeah.
Nayati's just over there, and so. But either way, they'll listen to this podcast, so they'll know. So it's time to spill the beans, babe.
I'll be very diplomatic.
No,
I wasn't
just
very
be honest.
good. I was. That bedroom window of mine slid down many a times.
Sheesh! That was Sophia. Yeah. No. Okay. I mean, I don't know how much of details you want to go into this, but you can summarize. Like,
No, I will say, I think at 16, I wasn't, from about, I would say 17, then I went really, I mean, I was in and out of nightclubs and, hanging out in town, hitchhiking.
see, you were pretty out there, bro.
Yeah.
Sophia's in shock.
I used to hang out in clubs where, I don't know if I would let my daughter go to.
Really. And why do you think, why were you like that? So because that's, I mean, part of me wants to say that's pretty risky, but it was a different time. I mean, we used to hitch, it was quite safe, but you were still pushing the boundaries. Why did you push the boundaries? And B, why did your parents allow you to get away with it? I mean that's pretty dangerous stuff. So, I mean, why didn't they stop you?
Well, they weren't always around, and B, they had no option.
Tell me more about B.
I pushed the boundaries a lot because obviously you think that you're much older and that you can do what you want. And I had an older boyfriend as well.
But
He
why?
must have been 18 or so.
Why did you push the boundaries?
I suppose I pushed them because I wanted to experience life that was out there,
So, I mean, was there no life in... I mean, okay, so we both grew up in apartheid.
Yeah.
So probably very different upbringings. Why did you... You're a nice white girl in a nice white neighborhood. Was it boring? I mean, why did you want to rebel?
It was very boring. It was like, what's that film where everything happens at the same time? Everything.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think that I needed to break some boundaries to make life more exciting.
So you were bored. I mean...
I think bored, but also frustrated as well because the country was so boring and there were so many restrictions on South Africa and we were ruled by this very white government and, we couldn't do anything. I mean, it was boring. And, well, for me, I mean, there was a lot of activity in South Africa at the time because obviously people were protesting and they were demonstrating because we had a white government and obviously people of color were very restricted. So, yeah.
Were you like an activist? Were you anti-apartheid? Or were you just like, somebody's trying to put down rules and I don't like it?
I think I think it was both. Like, why do we have to be separated? Like, what's wrong with the other half of the people, like the people of color? What's wrong with them? nothing wrong with them. And also, it was completely wrong. You cannot separate people just because of the skin of their color. That's so wrong. And also, I suppose in my mind, I wasn't an activist. I don't think I was brave enough to be an activist, but
you're just a deviant.
No.
Like you were not an activist. You're not talking about it. You were just like doing the opposite of what you were told. Maybe that's your form of activism. You weren't like shouting it from the treetops.
Yeah.
But rather than like shouting, you were doing what you were not supposed to. I'm just trying to get down to the bottom of like, were you doing what you were not supposed to because you're just a rebel at heart, or were you trying to fight the system?
Well, I know that I wasn't doing it because I was cool. And I know a lot of people were doing that just because, I wanted to be, this cool chick who was doing something. I wasn't doing it for that. That's for sure. I was genuine. I mean, I really for me, it was actually, I couldn't comprehend why I could not have friends of color.
Yeah.
Why were we separated? Why was that, and yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting because, I mean, were there people of color at your school? I mean,
no, there wasn't. Only, I think after I left a couple of years, about 88, and then I think 1994, 1995, the schools then became mixed.
Yeah.
The government schools.
Like, we'll get back to the color thing in a minute, but I just wanted to ask you, like, what was school like? Because I spoke to, like, you. Where did you go to school, babe?
I went to school in Constantia.
See, this is another topic we need to get into, like this Cape Town and the society and all of their standards and the materialism and the one-upmanship. But anyway,
I will say that I actually used to hang out with a lot of activists, actually. A lot of them went...
Your teachers?
No. Actually, I had an ex-boyfriend who used to have a lot of friends that were activists, and they all went off to Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like exiles.
Exile, yeah.
Wow. How many boyfriends did you have? No, joking. I'm joking. Okay, so sorry, that was the Peanut Gallery. The Peanut Gallery was saying some of your ex-surfer boyfriends come up to us in the surf. It's very disconcerting.
It's very quite sad, actually.
Yeah.
How everybody has to be informed that he did date me.
Yeah.
Shame.
Maybe you were the highlight of his life, babe.
Probably. Or maybe he wants another wife.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very difficult. Anyway, off subject. Let's get back on subject. So...
you see, we are coming off. You see,
It's fine. We'll get back on, babe. So the subject was growing up in South Africa, 16 years old. You were a bit of a rebel. It doesn't sound, though, that you were like an activist anti-apartheid. You were just... Stuff didn't make sense, and so you just went your own way.
Oh, exactly. Oh, no, of course. I wasn't an activist, whatever, but within me and what my actions, I did what I wanted to do.
Do you remember us? I don't think we were sitting. We were lying on the steps at the Golden Acre back then, and we were asked to leave because we were kissing in public.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Like, maybe that was a bit offsides. Like, we didn't have to be that public about it.
That's also true. But you know what you do when you're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then 16, so you were naughty. Okay.
They're not naughty. I mean, not naughty, but,
Yeah.
What is 16 well, let's just say I don't think compared to what 16-year-olds get up to nowadays, I don't know. But maybe, you know what, we probably all got up to exactly the same thing, but ours was not recorded.
It's not as visible, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think nowadays it's very, very visible. Kids definitely don't have as much freedom as we had back in the day. I mean, I suppose when I say freedom, I mean like we know every move that they make, where my parents only knew when I was home when there was a key in the door. Yeah. And that was when I was home. So whether that was 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock the next day.
So basically you sound like quite a big crook compared to your daughter's an angel. I hope you realize that compared to you. But she doesn't know this part about you, and that's an interesting thing. Like we're exploring what were we like. And we quickly forget.
Well, I think also remember time. Times are different, and I think it depends on where you live. I mean, we do live in South Africa; it's a beautiful country, but we have to be realistic. And I don't want to be over dramatic, but it's not safe. We do have to, as parents, we all have to know that. We all do know that. So the kids don't have as much freedom.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different subject. That yes, you have to be streetwise, but I really don't think it's healthy to live in fear.
No, sure not. But you just have to. We are just a lot more vigilant today, and it's unfortunate. It is what it is. It's not.
Yeah, I feel like you're justifying why we need to be more restrictive on our kids, like because of the environment and everything. But I think like the line of conversation was, what were we like, And yes, the times are different, but when you were young, what did you just want to do? And I think that would give us greater insight into our kids if we remember not so much the specifics of what we did and didn't do, because times are different.
Yeah.
But what was it like to be young? When you're young, and whether you're angry or anti-apartheid or living your own life, like what did that feel like? Forget about the actual details, but what did that feel like? Because that's the spirit of being young. And I think for many of us as parents, we forget that spirit. We all just do,
Well, I suppose it's exactly like today. It's like we go to school, we study hard, like I did, and then the weekends you go out and you party.
Yeah,
that's what 16-year-old do. That's what they do, and play sport, of course.
Yeah, well, I personally partied Monday to Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I mean, when I was 16. And to be honest, my big message why I don't like push the kids, because I don't think really matric really matters. I don't even think university matters, and I know we'll probably get shot down for this, but I think it's your attitude and your positivity, your social skills. People develop at different ages.
Yeah, they do, but I just don't think you can't say that matric and university is not important. I think it is. I mean, I think there's a lot of, we can talk about this for a long time, but I think that it's good to, I think especially in South Africa, it's good to strive for something. Just to have things handed to you, and, if you are looked after and everything, you don't really have that passion or drive to do what you can, do your best.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is like targets are good to
exactly
to push for.
Sure. I mean, if I think about it now, I thought I was actually a terrible student, but actually if I look back at my high school, I was actually a pretty decent student. And it's amazing how you underestimate yourself as well when you're so young.
I think there's that, but then there's also this whole like pressure, that unless you're so successful at everything, you're going to be a complete failure in life. And like, I think it's bullshit. I mean, I scraped through matric, I got kicked off campus, and then you at 30 I was doing my masters, and at like, I don't know, 39, 40, something like that, I was asked to do my PhD, like a dropout, from dropout to PhD. I mean,
Yeah, but if I look at you as a person, you are very driven. And you...
But I wasn't always, that's my point.
I think you were, but I think you were always driven, but of course you grew up, I think you grew up when you were about 24, 20, we got married when we were 26,
I think it was after you threatened me, after we got married. Like, you waited until we got married, and then you said, right, showed me this finger, and you were like, now that no, you didn't say now that I've got this. You're like, don't expect me to be living in this 1-bedroom house or sharing this anymore. But we'll get there soon. Like, talking about the phases, I just think that people have their innate ability that's so different. It's not always measurable. And if you have those skills, and we all mature at different stages, and then you can focus and you can catch up. And I think when we're young, the common theme between both of us is you create your space.
Sure.
Like, you've got society happening to you, and some people are victims of society and the pressure, and other people create space, the space that they need for themselves to be expansive. And it's pretty hard whether you were born 50, 60, 70 years ago, or whether you're 16 right now, it's quite hard to create that space for yourself, because you're either creating space to expand or you get broken by the system, right? And I think in some ways we were both irreverent in different ways. One, you don't know how you did it, because for me, I just want to pass that on to my kids to say, whatever your marks are, all those things don't matter. Like, your happiness, your state of mind is probably more important, because if that inner world, your home, your belief in yourself is intact, then you can do anything. But the moment they break your spirit, that's when you lost. So like how to come from the inside out. But anyway, so we're talking about 16 to 21 kind of age, Let's start talking about 21, because when we met for the second time after, so we went out for these 2 months, and then we met again in Israel after 7 years. What was it like then for you at 21 in another country, fending for yourself?
It was fabulous. I loved it. It was so nice to be away from home. It's exactly what I needed, to just leave South Africa, and to go to another country to see how other people live. And it was a big journey for me. I really thoroughly enjoyed it and learned a lot. I learned how to actually be by myself and how to enjoy being by myself, and just to have that motivation to go out and do something and to work as well, to make money, because my dad did give me money to go overseas, but I actually don't think I even spent it, because I got a job immediately. I remember flying into London all by myself, totally bewildered, and it's a new culture, and I remember going, I miss home, I want to go home. And then after a good cry, I pulled myself together and said, right, let's get life, let me go get a job, let me get my life together. And I did.
It's so funny how I arrived there in a very different way. You had all your savings intact.
Because I was actually working before I went. I remember I got a job when I was 20. So all that money I actually also put away as well.
So I basically was kicked off campus, like I said to you, and then I was basically kicked out of the country by my dad. I think his exact words were, "You're a bit of an embarrassment." And he was like, when I turned 21, he said, "Welcome to manhood. You're on your own now." Which, it felt very cruel at the time, but with hindsight, it was probably the best thing. But they didn't stop me, because, good habits die hard. And I got to England, and I spent my entire savings in 2 months down the pub. And
I thought you said 2 weeks, actually. Was it that long? 2 months, babe.
And so then, I only had, I'll never forget this day, and I don't know if the kids actually know the story, but it'll be interesting for them one day to hear it, was I couldn't go home because I wasn't welcome home. And I called my then girlfriend, which I naively thought was waiting for me, like who gets a one-way ticket and expects, anyway. So she answers the phone. She said, "Sham, that's so sad, but anyway, I've shacked up with one of your mates. Like, good luck with your problems." And in those days, you had these like ticky boxes, these phone things.
That you threw money in,
you threw money in, and I don't know if the kids have actually ever seen one, but it was outside a church, and I went into this church, and I've always believed in every religion. So anyway, here I am at one of my...
What religion are you?
What now? Practicing. I was born a Hindu.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Muslim community. You know this story. And then went to a Christian school, blah, blah, blah. Was apprenticed kind of Hindu priest. Wanted to become a priest. We ended up on a kibbutz in Israel, on a Buddhist monastery in Greece. I mean, like every religion. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, go back to the story. Gosh, love, you got us off the topic, eh?
I just wanted to clarify for everybody what you are.
Okay, but we want to tell new stories, not the stuff everyone knows. But maybe, I don't know who's going to
People don't know you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to find out who you are, and not me. So anyway, so I'm in this church, and no money, nowhere to go. Obviously a total loser and a failure, dropout. And I'm on my knees, and there's tears coming down my eyes. And I mean, like, what?
You cry.
Yeah, I do cry. Yeah, men cry, babe. It's fine. Do you think that's a problem?
Not at all.
I don't cry often, but when I do, it's for real. And I guess I was feeling sorry for myself. You know, sometimes I think crying is just feeling sorry for yourself, but like I was like, fuck it, I am feeling sorry for myself. No, but it was more like anguish, you know. And I think whatever your religious, you know, or whether you believe in spirituality or you believe in nothing, I think like you first have to hit a low point before change comes. Like you're absolute, like when you haven't hit rock bottom, you're not there yet. You've gotta get to the point where you can't anymore, and that's when change comes. And so I was on my knees, and I could have asked for anything. I could have asked for money, wealth, fame, or, you know, whatever. And the only thing I asked for was a soulmate, of all the things, because I think I felt very alone in life. You know?
She says this as if she's hearing it for the first time.
But I felt, well, I don't know how, you know, how in depth I've ever told you the story, but I just felt, of all the feelings that I could have felt, I mean, I guess I felt misunderstood growing up in South Africa, but I didn't care, and I went out of my way to be misunderstood, maybe even. And then you get abroad and your journey is over before it even started, but you're there because you're a failure and you've proved everyone right, and you're kind of alone and you don't even understand yourself. I didn't actually know who I was, but so how can you expect anyone else to know you? But I asked for a soulmate, and dried my tears and walked out the church and got this idea to go to Israel, you know, that I could afford a one-way ticket to Israel and a little bit of money. And I didn't know what was going to happen next, but that was also a big breakthrough. You don't have to have everything planned out. You just need to know the next step to move you forward, and that's what it was. So I arrived in Israel, and back in those days there were probably like thousands of, you know, kibbutzes, and there were all these people sitting. Do you remember in Tel Aviv in the hallway, waiting to get in
the passage,
the passage, and then South Africans were just put to the front of the queue because of us being hardworking. And then I was placed at this kibbutz Ruchama, and surprise, surprise, I say fate, you say bad karma.
Yeah. There comes Sham. Sham turns up in this blazer with his this jacket.
I had a tweed jacket.
And
in summer.
Backpack. I was like, oh my God. Who's this dude?
Dude, do us. What were you thinking?
No, I was like, huh? Who's this? He looks very dressed up to be a traveler.
Yeah.
He looked like he was just coming from the office.
Yeah, no, it was weird. I slept with my backpack that night because I was like terrified of someone stealing it, you know, in the youth hostel.
Oh, yeah.
I was like holding it.
I know, I think I was doing the same as well.
Yeah. You hear all these horror stories when you leave South Africa. Oh.
Yeah.
And then there was that overseas visitors club or whatever. They like sold this whole story to your parents, but they were like nowhere when you arrive.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go and then you travel, and then you have to walk to the bus station to go and find this bus to your to Ruchama, and I was completely lost.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were very kind to direct me. I think even I was sitting on the bus, they're like, you can get off now.
So then we saw each other for the first time, and second time, and that was amazing. And so we were talking about how we both arrived there, and I was completely broken. I was like a complete mess. And you told me, I don't know if you remember this, you were dick in love back then. I don't know what happened after that, but
it was all that vodka. It was that vodka, that 1 pound vodka. Gee whiz.
Yeah, the vodka slammers, do you remember? Yeah. But you told me that you would marry me one day, and you would be an amazing wife and mother, and we were going to have an amazing life. Like, I don't know, like...
Did I say that?
You did, don't you?
Wow.
It was in the dining hall. I remember it clearly. I was like,
oh,
whoa.
so obviously I wasn't full of vodka then.
No, I was thinking you're bunny boiler. No, I wasn't. I was like, she's moving fast. No, I didn't. I mean,
I kind of knew, like, I was quite... I think if it wasn't for me, you would have stayed on that kibbutz for quite some time. And then I got to this... I think after 3 or 4 months, I was like, right, let's move on, because it was nice, but I think with all those volunteers and the parties, I mean, you know, sometimes it's nice, but you just got to move on with your life as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've always been like through our marriage that, you know, we come to stages where we go, okay, let's do something new, or let's, you know,
Yeah.
let's move on.
You're usually the one that calls it, like it's time to move.
Exactly.
But I didn't want to move because I couldn't, because I had no money, and you
were
like,
comfortable.
not just comfortable, I just couldn't afford to, and I didn't want to be a leech. I didn't want to, you know, ask you for money. And you were like, I have enough money for both of us. We're going. And
well, I said, I'm going. You know, you can come with if you want. Like, you're very welcome.
okay, that's not how I remembered it.
No, but I was
Oh shit!
No, but I did say to you, I was quite surprised that you actually were going to come, because I said I'm going to go.
But you'd had enough.
Yeah, I had enough. Ugh.
I didn't have enough, but you know, I guess, like, you made your intention very clear, you know, that you wanted to have a relationship, but before that, I mean, that you wanted to have a relationship. I was kind of unlovable at that stage and broken, but you were like, okay, I'm here. I mean, you said the marriage thing before you said let's move.
Yeah.
And then I think my big barrier is that I didn't want to sponge off you, but I wanted to go with you. And then we just did it, and I'll never forget. We got to, where did we go to?
We went up north in that what's it?
To Haifa.
Haifa, yeah, to go across to Greece
on a bus, and then we got to Athens, which was interesting. And then we took a boat to Naxos.
And
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. Sorry, didn't we stop over at? We stopped over
At Rhodes or something.
One of the big islands, not Corfu. Was it? No, not Corfu.
I can't remember. Details. Probably nobody cares.
Yeah, and then remember we went somewhere and my jacket was stolen. I had that horrible jacket, and I put it around my waist. I don't know whether we left it somewhere or.
I don't know. Love. I'm 50. I'm starting to lose my memory, but.
Yeah. Okay.
No, actually, Melinda says we're not allowed to say that.
Exactly.
We're not allowed to talk about getting old.
Exactly.
My memory's just getting better. It's like Nayati's going to stop losing things.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we were talking about 20s. So 21, and.
But okay, so what are the listeners actually learning from this?
I don't know. We're just talking about two phases in our lives that our kids are currently at.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning from this, and I think our kids are going to be learning from this, because this is, I think we need to be completely open and honest about what it was like to be 21 and to be 16.
But I think also we have to realize that we are two very different people. Like we're very different. How can I say? I never really wallowed. I like, okay, we're making a plan. We're going here. We're doing this. We're going. Where with you kind of go, I don't know if I want to go, like.
I like change, but I wouldn't say attached.
I don't know if you like. Do you like change?
Well, it depends. I mean, I've worked in change management in my career for most of my life. But what I was about to say was that I like the adventure, and who knows if I would have adventured as much if I wasn't. If we weren't together, but I do love adventure, and I do love experiencing different things, and I love meeting new people, which you obviously meet when you travel. But I do like to also embed myself in the places where we're at, to really make deep connections with people, and I make those connections easy. So, and those are genuine connections. So leaving a place is always hard for me.
Yeah.
But wanting to meet new people is always exciting. So like that's my challenge. Whereas I think you are different in that it's purely for the adventure. Maybe sometimes, like you don't let people in that easily. Maybe, I don't know why. And so maybe it's easy it's easier for you to leave, where it's harder for me. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think we've got friends. I mean, I've got friends all around the world.
Yeah, but you're very, very selective.
Yeah, and you're very lucky to be my friend. Very honoured. Count yourselves lucky.
I like, obviously I have my lifelong friends.
You do.
But there was this interesting thing people talk about people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I think we probably both have lifelong friends, and seasonal friends. But I think I'm quite open to explore like the reason part. Like I feel like I can learn from anyone. I can learn from a car guard, from a homeless person, from nearly everyone. And the hardest part is learning from people you don't like. I think that's where the real work is learning from people that are different to you.
Why do you have to learn from people you don't like? I tend to just like, I don't even invest my time.
Well, that's why you can't learn from everyone.
No,
Well,
I do. I do, but also I think as I've got older, I've also just kind of realized that I can also do away with a lot of them as well.
Yeah, well, I think you probably have always been that way, and I've kind of, I mean, there's no right and wrong here. I mean, like you were saying, we're different, and maybe together it's like a good match, but it's embracing that.
I think it is, because there's sometimes where I've had to go, Sham, it's okay. You don't have to bring everybody home that you meet.
I've brought some interesting people home over the years.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Find people walking around in your garden. Sorry, am I speaking loud? Must I speak louder? Sorry, Niati.
Yeah. So what, do you want to tell a story about when you found strange people walking around a garden, or that I've invited for dinner? But it's always been fun. I mean, what about Brian Aldrich? He was an amazing guy.
Yeah, he was a nice young man.
Yeah.
Can I say he was? Yeah, he was. Yeah, he is young.
But okay. Anyway, so listen, I mean, we're just getting started with this. I mean, we spoke about 16 and now about 21. I think the big theme for us with our 21-year-old is, and this is for a lot of people his age right now living in these times, they've moved back home. And especially if you've got parents as cool as us. Yeah. Are you listening now? No, I mean, I love him. I enjoy his company. I don't want him to leave. But ultimately, it's good for him to be independent and fend for himself. And I think that's like a big transition now.
It's true. I mean, I was at home until I was until 21. And then, on my own, I decided actually to leave. I actually decided on my own. My parents gave me the opportunity. They said, here's a ticket. And I went, thanks, but I'm not going to use it now. And then after a few months, I did. Things occurred and I thought, let's get out of here. So I think at the end of the day, I suppose he is on the right. He's got another year and a bit to go. And then...
No, I mean, it's not, you see, that's the problem. You put on the parent hat and that's not honesty. Like the question was really just, what were you like at 21? But I think the circumstances were different. Like
different.
Like my point here is that the circumstances are so different. Like we both couldn't wait to get away from South Africa, because I think we've both always felt a little bit claustrophobic when we were young. We wanted to see more of the world, maybe that adventurous spirit. But also, South Africa wasn't doing anything for me. Like,
no.
I was a bit of a fuck up here, and
but
also
it was let's be honest. I mean, South Africa was very racist, and if you were a black man or black woman, you didn't have a chance. Everybody, went overseas to become educated and have a better education.
Or prospects or work.
Exactly.
So. For us, it made sense to leave, and I'm just saying, for our kids, it doesn't make sense to leave home.
The world is so.
I'm not talking about countries. I'm just talking about, because it's not just the country; it's also your family environment. I mean, is the home that you've created a place where your kids want to be, and they want to bring their friends, and it's a place of growth and expansion, and they're encouraged and supported?
Yeah.
Or in my case, it was like a very restrictive environment where I couldn't expand, or in your case maybe there was not enough stimulus for you.
Probably.
So we had absolutely realistic reasons for wanting to leave, and I think our kids, or our son right now at 21, there isn't an incentive, and should there be? I don't know how to navigate it. Like, part of me is saying you grow through hardship, and part of me is saying, if he has the safe place now in the world, why not enjoy it for a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've spoken about those two critical ages, the ages of our kids, and we try to remember what we were like. I don't know if anyone is going to listen to this or whether it's worth it, but what else did you want to cover?
No, there's so much more, but I think I'm going to make a list about of what we want to talk about. I don't want to waffle and just talk because for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So
I think we should ask people what are some of the topics they'd like as well.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's also a good idea as well. Like, what do they want to talk about?
Yeah. So are we actually going to put this out without
Yeah, I
editing?
think we should.
Just like that. No
Yeah.
edit. Boom. Cloud.
Well, let's hear it and then we'll just see. But I think it's okay. Hey? Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, it's
Yeah.
our first time, guys. So give us
Yeah.
feedback and we'll try to get better.